Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, I hope you are having a fantastic day and a great start to your weekend. It is a Saturday, so that means that we are all gathered here today to discuss the new makeup releases that we have collectively found rather interesting. So a massive thank you to everyone who has tagged me in content for this week. I super appreciate it. Your names are being displayed right now. But as usual, a massive thank you to my YouTube community members. We had a live last week where we hung out and I did draw a name from the giveaway pile. So Kezia, you won something. Choose whatever you want from the goodie pile. That's just how we do things over here. But we do actually have a few things to discuss this week. But I have to remind you, get yourself your beverage, whatever it is. I've gone for tea. I mean, that's kind of what I go for every week. So, you know, just assume that that's what I'm going for. And let's just get straight into it. So one of the first things that I want to talk about isn't actually a new makeup release. It's just about me because it's my channel and I'll do what I want. So I did a video recently where I was using a new product to myself, but I was also using a few things. And I like to tag all of the things that I'm using just for full transparency, I suppose. And I used a Made by Mitchell color case, you know, the neutral one, and I tried to tag them, but they do not let me tag them, which I find very, very interesting. But they've also made it so that another one of my friends can't tag them. And all I can say is I think I know what's going on, but I find it shady as fuck. So I want to have a video memento of that to just say that, and I think it's a bit shit. So I don't really have any solutions on that. I just felt the need to put it out there. Do with that what you will. But we'll get into the actual new makeup releases. And I feel kind of reluctant to call this a new makeup release because it feels extremely recycled. This is the Oden's Eye Solmàne 2 collection. So there's an eyeshadow palette. It's the Solmàne 2 Moonwish palette for €31.95. There's the Solmàne 2 Moonlight Feel highlighters. There's 3 of those. They're in the shades Moon Tears, Star Legend and Light Glory for €21.95 each. And then there's the Sunlight Love blushers. There's 3 shades again: Lilac Mist, Pink Bloom and Solar Eclipse. Now Solar Eclipse has more of like a shimmery element to it, and they're €19.95 each, but if you want the full collection they're €131.95. Now part of why I'm reluctant to call this a new collection is it feels a little bit recycled. Like I feel like I've seen this exact color story from them a couple of times. It reminds me very much of the, was it the Halloween palette or the Trick or Treat palette that Angelica Nyqvist did with them as a collaboration, and I'm just like, oh, so I almost passed this by and I was like, why are they re-advertising this? This came out a while ago, but no, it's something new. And can I also just say, for an eyeshadow palette, 8 matte, 7 shimmers. I'm kind of confused that they didn't even put in one special shade and they're charging €32 for it. I don't know, I've had a lot of people as well saying they've had some issues with their Oden's Eye stuff. Now I can't say that I have because I personally haven't, but a few people have pointed out to me that they've hit hard pan on a couple of things, which I'm like, oh, that's not great. So I feel like there's a couple of issues that they need to kind of sort out there. In terms of the color story, it's fine. I feel it's a little bit disjointed. I wouldn't really know what to do with it. It does, again, like I said, feel quite recycled. I think it's quite brave to put in that pop of yellow because yellow is very, very hard to formulate, but there's not a lot that would really go with that yellow in that palette. So I'm a little bit like, what is this? I appreciate the fact that they've swatched this on different skin tones, so it gives you a little bit of an idea, but this feels very like bog standard. Do you know what I mean? Like there's nothing interesting about this. It feels a little bit like 2018. You know, there's no interesting formulas there. It's grand, like €32 is not the most expensive thing, but oh, I don't know. I'm not into it. Then the highlighters, I think they look kind of pretty, but they're way more sparkly and glittery than their previous ones. And I know it, again, I've had a few people kind of say, I want to get their previous highlighters, but they're not in stock, which I think is really, really strange. I again appreciate the fact that they've put it onto different skin tones to give us a little bit of an idea. Personally, I'd like to see it on the actual face. Like I went through the website and I couldn't find anything on the face, and it's like, well, when you build up swatches like this of a highlighter, that's not how it actually looks. Like nobody's going on with a big streak of highlighter. Well, maybe they are. Do you remember 2018? We all did that. Don't pretend you didn't. We all know that you did. So I'm kind of like, it's it's a very strange way to kind of show it. For me, I feel like this texture wouldn't work because I am a 34-year-old human and I have a bit of texture because I'm dry, you know, same as my sense of humor. So a formula like this doesn't settle very well on me. The embossing on the pans, absolutely gorgeous, looks really luxe, and I feel like €22 isn't terrible for this. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. In terms of the blushers, I'm kind of surprised that they have one that is very highlighter-esque. I'm like, why did you not just put that in with the highlighters? Very strange. I will say, I really appreciate the fact here that they show it in the lighter and the deeper skin tone, because it looks so drastically different from the light to the deep skin tone that it almost looks like a different blusher, so I really appreciate that. I'm gonna go back to my previous point though. I want to see this on the face. I get having swatches on the arm is helpful to give us a little bit of an idea, but I want to see it across different people and different undertones, because these sort of shades are going to perform very differently depending upon your skin tone, your undertone, all of these different things. So I really want to see that. That's what I'm interested in. I feel like the shades themselves, they're fine, you know. Are they revolutionary? No, but I think it's very difficult to come out with a revolutionary blush shade. Like, who's doing that these days? I feel like a lot of us probably have this in our collection as it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of recycled, I guess. Do you know what? Not a bad idea to recycle things. I'm all for that. Just in general, this collection feels a little bit like dated to me, a little bit repetitive. There's nothing about this that really jumped out at me that I was like, oh my goodness, I must have this, which is fantastic for me because I don't want to be buying things that I don't need. But let me know if you guys actually got this. I don't know, I don't find Oden's eye as interesting as I once did. I feel like outside of like their collaborations, they seem to kind of struggle a little bit with putting together colour stories. Maybe that's just me. Then when we're talking about collaborations, we can't help but talk about Glamlite and their perpetual collaborations. Like, we don't ever really see Glamlite just by themselves. However, they have said that they're going to do some like dessert themed thing soon. So I'm looking forward to seeing that because that's almost like where they came from. So it's not a bad one. This is the Chucky Good Guys collection. So it's like, you know, Chucky when he was not evil. Yeah, I'm not a big horror fan. Like, I like some horror, but I'm not that into it. I just don't find them very scary. It's just my thing. But they put this collection out on July 4th. A lot of it is still available, but I will say that the website was very glitchy. I struggled to get pictures because when I went on several times, I could only find certain items, and then I went on this morning and then all of them were there. But a couple of people were commenting on that on Instagram, so it was very strange. So you can get the full collection with the PR box for €108.95. You can get the full collection without a PR box for €99.95. The palette is €23.95. The Showtime lip kit is €13.95. The Wanna Play Lip Care Duo is €11.95. The Friends Till the End highlighter is €14.95. The Good Guys mirror is €23.95. The Good Guys bag is €19.95. And Tiff's Glam bag, which isn't included in the PR bag or the non-PR collection, is €19.95. So I'm going to talk about the eyeshadow palette first. I mean, it's fine. Can I just say though, it's getting to the point where, again, Glamlite have kind of done every colour story in the world, and I reckon if you looked at some of the existing horror palettes, there's a lot of these tones that are very similar. Like, if you looked at the Freddy, the Nightmare on Elm Street ones, there's a lot of these colours. I'd say probably a bit darker. This is a little bit more like true primary colours. No, it's fine. It kind of makes sense considering it's like, oh, this is meant to be like a children's toy type thing. And I'm like, okay, that's grand. It looks malevolent AF, which is like the whole point. I think they've kind of really skirted that line quite well. It's not my colour story. Like, the swatches obviously look great. Glamlite's formula are very good. I have said this time and time again. I want to see Glamlite outside of a collaboration. I get that that's their whole brand, but I want to see them do something themselves without falling back on an IP. And I know we're going to see more and more IP stuff from them because they've patented quite a bit, or they've said they've filed for a lot of IPs. But personally, I'm kind of like, and it's great for me because I can talk about a lot of these things then on releases and rants or in my like little shorts. But I personally get a little bit overwhelmed when I see a brand releasing things constantly, because we literally just talked about their Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Right? This is another collection. Maybe it's just me. Then the It's Showtime lip duo. I mean, that's grand. It's very safe. You know, there's nothing much to talk about there. The price is pretty good. The packaging is kind of cute. Again, a little bit malevolent. They went for some fairly safe colour stories, but again, this makes sense considering it's meant to be like a child's thing. Very, very difficult for me initially to get pictures of this, by the way, because the website was down, so bear with me. The lip care duo, I mean, I don't really know what to say about that. Like, it's fine. It's apparently marshmallow scented. There's jojoba oil and shea butter in there, so keep that in mind if you are actually allergic. There's quite a few people who are allergic to these things. I don't know. Is there anyone who's like getting these things like really excited about that? I'm not that bothered. I do like lip care in the sense that like I use a lip mask every night. I have lip peptides, etc. But I don't know if I'd necessarily go to Glamlite for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to like make a niche for themselves. Jesus, I hope they don't start doing like skincare stuff because that would be bananas. The highlighter is, can I just say, unclear as to what's going on here because I checked all through the website, all through their Instagram, and it is currently 5 o'clock on a Friday evening and I couldn't find any swatches, so I don't know what it looks like. I hate Jack-in-the-Boxes. And it has like the little imprint or embossing of a Jack-in-the-Box. So I'm like, oh, not for me. The question mark as to what this would look like is a little bit too much for me. However, I do feel like they do nice highlighters, so that's fair enough. The mirror, I kind of feel is like middle of the road. They've definitely done more interesting mirrors in the past with the 3D printing. I think the bit that's quite interesting is the fact that when you flip the mirror around to the actual mirror bit, they have like the little footprints and a little hat on that. And I'm like, okay, that's grand. Now that would distract the F out of me. I need a clear mirror because it's going to drive me nuts otherwise. But it just feels a little bit, cheap. And it is expensive. It's like €24, but it looks a little bit like something I would get out of a €2 shop. Then the bags. Oh my God, right? I'm glad that they showed it next to a doll. Maybe the doll is huge, but I feel like the doll is probably small, in which case the bag is tiny. I'm kind of like, is this meant to be a makeup bag or is it meant to be like a handbag type thing? Because some people are saying they're meant to be handbags and then some people are like, oh, they're a makeup bag. Either way, I think it doesn't really matter. I assume it's a makeup bag because it looks small enough to be a makeup bag. I mean, it's expensive enough for like something that is quite small. It's very 90s themed, which I don't mind. Then Tiff's bag, which is kind of in the collection, but also not because it's not in the PR collection. That's kind of interesting. I don't think it's as cool as the one that came out in their Crazy in Love collection. My God, how many of these have we had? It just never ends. It never ends. In all, the collection is fine. I'm just not that interested in the IP, which is fine. I haven't really bought anything from Glamlite, I think, since their Scream collection, because I thought that was legitimately interesting. But since then, there's not been anything that is kind of like really called to me, which is fantastic. I quite like that, but there you go. Then we have Beauty Moon Cosmetics, and I thought that these were chrome liquid lipsticks, but they're not. They're actually chrome liquid lip glosses. Silly Teresa, read the whole thing. So they're £12.99 each, or you can get the bundle of 7 for £79.50. You have the shades Land of Dreams, Shooting Star, Miss Scarlet, Wiz Pop, Candy Road, Voodoo and Lavish, and they are all available now. I think these are quite interesting and they look like they're quite opaque. I'm for sure very, very interested in this. I feel like the price isn't a bad point at all. There's definitely more shades in here that are interesting to me than others. The Miss Scarlet one, I straight away I'm like, I love how vampy blood red that is. There's a very Jessica Rabbit element to it. I like the shade Wiz Pop. I think that's really unusual. I don't know how it would look on the actual lips though. I think that's a bit weird. And that's the other thing I would really like. I would actually like to see these on the lips. Don't get me wrong. Those swatches are very, very helpful, but I think actually seeing them on the lips would really help people to get a better indication of what these look like. Apparently they're not meant to be super sticky, which isn't bad. Now, I didn't end up picking up any of these, not because I'm not interested in them, but simply because I'm going to India soon and I'm like, maybe let's not buy things that we don't need. But I do think they're really pretty. Again, like even the Shooting Star one, I think looks very, very pretty. There's some very nice shades in here. I know that my friend Wilma, the gorgeous Wilma, has ordered 3, one of which is definitely Miss Scarlet, because I was like, oh, you crafty bee. So Wilma, I'm gonna need to see you try these on and let us know what the story is, because I think it's really interesting and I think the price point is really, really good. And it's a UK based indie brand and I like seeing that sort of thing. Then we have Beauty Bay, and can I just say this kind of sailed under the radar. They were kind of giving some hints, and first they kind of showed pictures of flowers, which was like, okay, this is obviously a botanical theme. And then they showed some pictures of like some eye looks, etc. But I feel like nobody was really talking about it. And I don't know if it's just that Beauty Bay are in a little bit of a, I don't want to call it like a flop era, but people aren't as interested in them. And it may be no more than with Glamlite. They've kind of done every color story, so it becomes very, very difficult to get excited because you're like, well, I could just shop my collection and I can get whatever. Anyways, this released today and I didn't see a lot of people talking about it. It's the Botanical 20 color palette for €19. It is limited edition, right? I don't like when they do limited edition palettes. They're usually the ones that tend to be kind of a little bit more interesting. I don't hate this, but I also don't like love this. I kind of had hoped for a few more kind of pops of purpley pinky bits in here and maybe a little bit more green, but I appreciate the muted tones of this. I think it's very, very pretty. There's something a little bit more springtime about this than necessarily summer, but that's totally fine. I mean, it is what it is. €19. What can I say? Damn good price. Also, there's a couple of codes floating around on Beauty Bay at the moment. Like there's, I think, is it Yay 20? I don't know, it's probably Yay 20 or Fab 20 or something 20 and you get 20% off. So I used that and I bought that. Are you surprised? I'm stupid. I know I did just say that I'm trying to watch myself before going to India, but I am also an idiot. I think this is very pretty, but there's parts of this that reminds me a little bit of a Morphe color story that came out, I want to say about 3 years ago. And that was a lot more like purpley toned, but there's little bits in there that reminds me of it. Not a dupe at all by absolutely zero means, but I feel like the two palettes would kind of work very, very well together. As per usual, Beauty Bay have given us the fucking weirdest swatches ever that never fully capture what these look like. And also, why have you only shown us 13 of the shades out of a 20 pan palette? You literally have advertised this as a 20 pan palette, but you're only showing us 13 shades. What the fuck is that about? Like, why are you doing that? It makes literally no sense. And I feel that a certain amount of this is just rage baiting of being like, haha, you're gonna buy our shit anyways because you're a silly, silly goose. And it's like, yes, I know I'm a silly goose and I'm gonna get it anyways. But they're almost relying on influencers, creators, whatever the word is, to buy their stuff and then generate swatches, etc. for them, because I mean that works for them. I feel though like the pictures that they have of the actual palette amongst the greenery do look aesthetically very, very pleasing. I just don't know why they don't swatch them out properly. Like, expand your budget, lads. It can't be that expensive to take some decent pictures. I have got this. I don't know if I'll get it in time to do swatching Sundays because next week, one of my besties is over from the UK and I probably won't do releases and rants because I want to spend time with her and I probably won't get a chance to do swatching Sundays. But when this does come into my hands, I will make an effort to swatch this and show you what it looks like. That kind of green shade obviously has me intrigued. I like that. I think it's pretty. Is it the most interesting? No, I think this can be duped by several other brands, but it's grand. I just think it's interesting that maybe Beauty Bay aren't as relevant as they once were. Don't shoot me, that's just what I think. Then we have Fenty, right? And I have several feelings on this because when I saw this initially, I'm gonna be honest, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, more glosses. I cannot deal with this. What are you doing, Fenty? What are you even doing? It feels like there's a lot of releases coming from them that they're very disjointed. They even have like a hair care section. And I was also like, hold on, this is like a gloss bomb stick. What the fuck is that? Sorry, I'm swearing very much today. I'm just in one of those moods. I'm in a weird mood today, so just bear with me. I'm very sorry. Also, if there are children watching, you're not meant to be watching. Go to bed. Even though it may be during the day. Just go to bed, children. Go to bed. Leave your guardians alone. They need some time to themselves. But I was kind of like, you've already got like a million gloss bombs, creams, etc. Why do we necessarily need these? That was my general thought. And then I saw a video by Glamzilla. I know. And they did actually look very, very pretty. I just feel like they have so many different lip formulas at this point that I find it a little bit like overwhelming. They're also quite expensive. They're €30 each. And this is their Glam Bomb Stix High Shine Gloss Stick. Like, that's such a long, long sentence. There's apparently vitamin E and shea butter in it, and there's squalene, which is meant to lock in moisture, because that's what they're trying to say is different to their existing stuff. I do find it helpful that over on their website they have kind of shown this new gloss bomb stick, or sticks. I'm like, a singular should be a stick, not, anyway, that's just me. They've kind of shown it next to that, the gloss bomb cream, and the gloss bomb heat. Do you see what I mean about me kind of being like, there's too many gloss bombs, fucking choose, there's too many of them. But you can actually see how they do look different on the lips, so I don't hate it. And this is more of a medium to full coverage, which is more similar to the gloss bomb cream, but this has more like nutrients in it, and I guess it's going to be more moisturizing. But it's the actual seeing it on the lips that does it for me. I want to go through each shade because I think they're actually quite nice. Glazed Donut. Oh my goodness. I think this is very, very pretty. Again, appreciate the fact that they've shown it on a couple of different skin tones. Tulip Kiss. I like that this is more of like a peachy thing. Gorgeous. Fenty Glow. They've again kind of taken a lot of the shades that they have across their existing gloss bombs. So I guess if you have one, like a shade in a particular gloss formula that you like, you can kind of have a reference point with that. Then there's the Is It Fussy? Oh, I like that one. That's quite pretty. That's like an everyday kind of a nude thing for me. Then there's Hibiscus. I'm gonna say I kind of feel like they need a little bit more like bold, colourful colours, because there's a lot of like very safe colours within their collection these days, and I'm like, lads, you've done some really interesting lip formulas. Bring back your lip stunner paints. I'm gonna say it. I know there's a few still in, but like they need to add to them. Sorta selfish. Shut the fudge up. I initially swore and I had to take that out because honestly, I'm being too sweary today. I don't know what's up with me. But this is really beautiful. This is like toffee. Like I've actually gotten into a toffee store and just got on nom, 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 nom. And I like it. I like makeup that makes it look like I'm greedy, because I am, and it's an accurate reflection of life. Then Spice Cold. I really like this. This is very like 90s feel, very, very pretty. Then Hot Chocolate. Oh, that is very, very nice. Obviously, I'm looking at MVP. I can't help it. I just think that looks gorgeous. It's a very blue toned red. That's my kind of thing. And of course, the shade Riri. I think they all look really, really pretty. I like the finish of this. So this is where I'm kind of coming a full like 180, where initially I was like, oh, for goodness sake, we don't need this. Stop coming out with more glossy, bomby things. Like, we don't need this. But then actually seeing the finished result, I'm like, I don't hate it, but I hate the price. €30. Excuse me. That is... I know everything is increasing in price, but I don't have to be happy about it. I think it's just a little bit too much. And then I see people getting the full thing, like there's 10 of them. And like, say for instance, Glamzilla, she had 10 of them. That's €300 worth of products that she's just swatching on her lips. And I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous. Like, that's like, I mean, I love that. I'm not going to be like, oh, if I got this, I wouldn't. So I would swatch it. I would, you know. I have to say, I am more intrigued by this the more that I look at it. I obviously wouldn't get all 10 shades. I don't have that sort of cash flying around. But there's maybe 2 or 3 shades that I really like. And if they come to Boots, which they will at some point, I'll pick them up. I'll wait. They normally have like a 10% off, or if you're very, very smart and wait towards the end of the month at payday, they normally have 20% off. So if it went down from €30 to €24, I can mess with that a little bit more. And honestly, guys, this is just the week of lipsticks. And I was initially very, very excited about this because I thought that this was such a smart idea. This is MAC and their Bring It Back collection. So they've been in business for 40 years and they decided to bring back some of their most loved lipsticks. Now, if you have been into makeup for quite some time, you will know that the big one that everyone talks about is Fleshpot. Yeah, it's like the perfect nude, and they discontinued that many years ago and you can't get it anymore until now. Asterisks, because I know that there have been videos out there of people who have their existing old Fleshpots that they have kept for scientific purposes and the new Fleshpot, and they look very, very different, which I think is like a massive disappointment. Do you know what I mean? Because I personally would love to get the original Fleshpot, but a lot of these have already sold out. They're $25 each and they brought 8 of the colours back in limited edition packaging. I'm going to go through each of these. So there's Bubbles. You cannot tell me that this is not prime 2000 lipstick. This is gonna make me look like a corpse, so obviously it's not for me, but I kind of appreciate the aesthetic. Then there's Haku, which again, more of a metallic sort of a look to this, very, very reminiscent of the time. There's Chintz, which is more of like a bronzy metallic. There's a lot of metallics, it seems, that have come back. The 2000s, what a time to be alive. It wasn't great. Then there's Fleshpot. So do you see what I mean? Right? It's very peach leaning, which it wasn't originally. So I'm kind of sad about that because I would have loved to have tried that. I think the idea is there. The execution is a bit all over the place. There's Double Shot, which looks quite pretty. That's a very like neutral but leaning almost a bit orange. We then have Shanghai Spice. Again, very pretty. We're leaning a little bit more into interesting colors here. Then there's Up the Amp. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm having like flashbacks to my teenage years when we'd wear interesting lipsticks like this. And I know like Urban Decay did a lot of like shades like this, so I'm kind of here for it. I think that's quite cool. And then there's Hot Gossip. Don't know why they got rid of that. That's a really quite a safe shade. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very pinky neutral, very, very pretty. Also, they have fabulous teeth and I feel very self-conscious because my teeth are terrible. Yeah, I think the idea of this was fantastic. Absolutely love this. But did they not keep reference? Has the formula changed so much that the pigmentation has changed? Because it literally has. Like people have swatched these and they don't look the same. People got very excited and were like, I'm buying 50 million Fleshpots, which understandable, but the heartbreak that has occurred because people are like, it's not the same, and I'm like, oh, I feel you. The betrayal. It just feels really weird because it's like, Mac, you owned this formula. Like, did you lose it? Did you lose the recipe? Who was meant to mind that? Maybe it's that like they can't get certain ingredients anymore. I don't know, but it feels a bit strange that a lot of these look different than their original counterparts, and I'm like, how did that happen? Very, very weird. Love the idea of it. It's just a bit disappointing. This is another one where I love the idea of it, but then it's pH changing and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I loved the look of this, right? This is Give Me Glow Cosmetics and these are some new lip oils. Now, they haven't said when they're coming or even what price they are, so I'm absolutely no good to you. So this is the Magic Slick pH color changing lip oil. Do you see what I mean? pH. I cannot stand those. I don't know what they would look like on me. I mean, I have a general idea, like pH always turns pink, so it's a bit silly, but they did say they plan on doing these without pH, so I'm like, could you please do that? The shades look very, very interesting. So there's Xenon coming to the stage, Electric Unicorn, Party Monster, and Sugar Shock. When I saw these originally, I was like, oh my god, are these liquid eyeshadows? Because they look really pretty. They're not liquid eyeshadows, they're actually meant to be lip oils. But if they could take out the pH element of this and again show these to me on the lips, oh, I am intrigued. It's like 90% of the way there, but just can we get rid of the gimmicky pH nonsense because I'm too old and tired for that. I do like it though, and I like Give Me Glow. I haven't bought anything from Give Me Glow in a while, not since their like butterfly palette, but I don't know, this is really interesting. It is. Just get rid of the pH stuff. And this was announced just before I sat down to film. This is Adept Cosmetics and this is a new palette. It's the Legend of Ardra. It's limited edition. They don't plan on restocking it, so you have to get it when it launches. Just keep that in mind. It's going to be available on Friday, July the 12th, and they're going to start to ship on Monday, July the 15th. They are spendy as per usual, €78.95. However, if you sign up for their newsletters, they normally put in a code for like 15% off, which is what I do. When I saw this initially, I was like, I don't really get this color story. I don't love it, which is fine. What I will say is, right, I started to look at the bottom row of the mattes, and I say this with love. It reminds me a lot of Nabla Cosmetics. That sort of color story very much reminds me of Nabla Cosmetics. I like the mattes in it, but what I don't like, and this is very unusual, is like the shimmery multi-chromes that they've chosen, because I don't really get kind of the way that they're packed in there. They feel a little bit disjointed. Now, I love Adept. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I love their stuff. I'm honestly grateful that this is a color story that doesn't speak to me. I also have a thing about like marbled shades because they hurt my brain, because what are they meant to look like? Just finish mixing them. Please finish mixing them. Please and thank you. Obviously, the packaging, 5 million out of 10. I don't know why or how they do this, but they always have the most beautiful packaging. Like, they always look so luxe. They're a real experience. I just feel like the colour story isn't for me, and again, I'm kind of surprised that those Shimmers multi-chrome formulas are not calling out to me in the way that their formulas normally do. It feels a bit disjointed, and again, I can't help but look at this and feel like Nabla Cosmetics, like I've seen these sort of shades from them before in terms of the mattes. They're pretty, but it's one I'm okay with missing out on. Like, I don't have any issues with it, but yeah, just not quite for me. Then last week we talked about the fact that Glisten Cosmetics were doing the strangest collaboration ever, Teletubbies. And you know what? The more I'm looking at this, the more I actually think it's cute. Now, I'm a little bit too old for Teletubbies. I didn't grow up with it, but my younger brother loved watching the Teletubbies. He passed away about 13 years ago. No, not about 13 years ago. 13 years ago. So anytime I see something that kind of reminds me of him, my stupid heart kind of goes a bit like, oh. And this has kind of got me in that sense. I don't need it. I know I don't, but I'm kind of looking at it and kind of going, oh, this reminds me of him. I don't need it. Definitely don't need it. The stuff that we have seen so far are the Tubby Toast Powder Puffs. So cute the way that they've shown them, and it seems that they're coming in like a little tin box, which I think is adorable. They've also shown us the Tubby Custard Highlighter, and I do appreciate that they've actually swatched that out. I'm gonna say it again, I'd like to see it actually on the cheeks, but that looks very, very interesting. And then just before I sat down to film, they said that they're coming out with wet liner palettes that are inspired by Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Lala and Poke. So they've shown us 2 of those, the green one and the purple one. Glisten are obviously very well known for their wet liners. I personally really, really like them, and I feel like they've been doing a lot of like interesting stuff lately. I personally am an affiliate, but one of my best friends, Daniela, is also an affiliate. So if you want to buy stuff through Glisten Cosmetics, you can use her code or my code. I'm going to have it down below. You'll earn a little commission from it, but they are also stocked through Beauty Bay. So if you want to get them through that, I'm interested in this. I do think it's interesting, and I can't wait to see what else they're coming out with. I'm kind of surprised by the fact that I like this as much as I do. I did not see that coming at all. But my gorgeous friends, that is it. That is the end of this week's episode. As I said, I probably won't have releases and rants next week. If I do, it would probably be a live one, just because I don't want to spend an entire day editing while my friend is here. I'm not great at the social skills, but even I know that probably is not the way to do things. But I do have my favourite comment here, and it is from Sequined Swan, which, by the way, I love that as a username. I just wouldn't like to actually put sequins on a swan because they are vicious, and I kind of like that for them. They said, why do I only ever realise I've not made myself a coffee when you mention getting a beverage? Why do you think I say it? Because I have to be reminded to have beverages, because I will forget it otherwise. So I like that I'm not the only one that forgets to hydrate. But my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell, simply because it's polite. And do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case just wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.